We're not a quote software. We're a proposal software. Well, what's that different from a quote? Well, proposals, basically, you have to be able to say, here's the problem, and here's the solution, and now here's how much it costs. When you're just doing a quote, it's like, here's the price.
Welcome back to Pest Radio, the podcast where we talk with the people shaping the future of the pest control industry, from operations and customer experience to the systems helping companies scale smarter. I'm Faye Sebiolu, founder of Digital Karma. We help pest control companies generate consistent, qualified leads and turn them into predictable revenue through marketing and automation systems built specifically for the industry. Today, we are talking about a challenge that many pest control companies face, but few truly address. Most companies focus heavily on generating more leads, but what happens after a lead comes in often determines whether that lead becomes revenue or becomes a missed opportunity. Joining us today is Eric Fletcher, co-founder of Smarter Launch. Eric is a longtime pest control operator, former business owner, industry leader who has spent decades working inside the realities of this industry. Before building a software, he experienced many of the same operational frustrations owners face today, especially around proposals, sales execution, customer communication, and converting opportunities into revenue. Together with his partners, Cody and Darren, he built Smarter Launch to help solve those challenges. Eric, welcome to Pest Radio.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, Faye.
So before we talk about the product itself, I want to understand the environment that created it because the best solutions usually come from real world frustration, not theory. So what originally brought you into the pest control industry?
Well, most of my business career has been focused on service-based businesses like air filtration, air quality, landscaping businesses. And back in 2005, I had the opportunity to help a pest control owner value his business. And after valuing his business, I said, why don't you sell it to me? Because it was very interesting to me because I was in that arena of home service-based businesses. And so he did that. And so that was where I got my start, was helping a company value their business and say, well, you know what? He's pretty profitable and he wants to retire. It was a good business for me to pick up and buy. And then over time, I acquired 5 other pest control companies.
So you created your opportunity, we can say.
Very true.
So when you were running your company, what were the recurring operational or sales frustrations you kept running into, especially around, inspection, proposals, and reporting work like termite or wood infestation reports?
Well, one thing I think that most everybody would agree with within our industry is that we've always been about 10 years behind other industries when it comes to technology. And so there's really 3 main things that were frustrating to me and that really were struggles for me. One was good reporting tools, like having findings and graphing, good proposal tools with good contracts and agreements attached, and then a way to follow up and have a defined pipeline and sales process. There just weren't good tools out there that were technology driven. They were all manual tools. And so I just had a lot of frustration there. So, yeah.
And from your experience in industry leadership roles, what did you learn about the deeper operational gaps most owners don't talk about?
Kind of along those same lines. I mean, good agreements with customers. A lot of
Mhm.
pest control, small pest control companies, particularly, have just verbal agreements with their customers, but they don't have an agreement that allows them to charge credit cards. So if the customer decides not to
Mhm.
pay, there was nothing in writing that allows them to charge that credit card, or that I'm allowed to apply chemical to your property. There's nothing more frustrating for me when I was serving as the co-chair on the advisory board for the Office of Pest Management in Arizona, to have companies get in trouble because they were applying chemicals and customers said, hey, I didn't agree to have him apply chemicals in that particular
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
So good contracts and good agreements are going to protect companies, are going to also protect the general public. So, and then education of your teams and the customers. Those are things that I think was lacking for what I saw when I first got in the industry, was just good education of your team and then good education of customers as to what we're actually doing on your property and how this is going to, affect you and work for you. So,
And what point did you realize, you know, that sustainable growth wasn't just about, generating more leads, but also maximizing the value of every lead through, follow-up, conversation, agreement?
boy, that is a great question. It was back in about 2009, after I'd been in business a few years and was figuring the industry out. I've always learned in the service-based business that there's more money to be made inside my business than and a lot less financially risky to offer additional services to my existing customer
Hmm.
base and go out and get a new customer that may or may not stay with me a while. So if I've got customers that have been with me for years, and when I purchased my first pest control company, this is a company that had been around since 1976 for 30 years they had been around before I purchased them. They had a lot of long-standing customers, but they were only offering general pest. And so I started bundling services in 2009. And so we started offering mosquito and termite or mosquito and rodent work. And as we bundled those services, we saw our profitability go up. We saw fewer cancellations because that customer becomes very sticky to you when you are offering multiple services. Those companies that only
Hmm.
offer general pest and don't do, let's say, bed bug work or mosquito work or additional services, over time that attrition or that churn will happen because they're not offering full services. And anytime you allow the opportunity for a competitor to come in and maybe do a bed bug job or do a mosquito treatment and they do a great job, there's a chance that you could lose that customer to that other company. And so bundling services helps that customer stay really sticky to you.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
So let's start with the basics then. What is smarter launch? What challenge does it help pest control companies solve? And why is that important?
Okay, couple things. One is it gives you a clear sales process.
Hmm.
It gives you clear and concise proposals that both educate and inform customers. Does an excellent job of branding your company, and reduces the time it takes to produce proposals. As an inspector, and when I owned my company, I wanted to learn everything about the business, so I
Hmm.
I went out there and inspected just like I request, had my inspectors go out. So I crawled through attics and I crawled in crawl spaces and I did proposals and I found it very, very time consuming to hand draw graphs, to take pictures and then import them into like a Word document and then
Hmm.
import graph into that Word document and my tech stack, my multiple softwares that I were using, it was expensive, but it was also very cumbersome and very time consuming. And so Smarter Launch is it's made for the industry and it has all of the elements in it that is going to reduce time and yet produce a beautiful branded proposal for your company.
And what was the exact moment you said someone needs to build this?
I,
And why
I,
you? You know?
Well, I would say that there wasn't an exact moment, but there was a time period. And it was right after producing a mini documentary that
Hmm.
I had a full-time marketing person on staff and I had a full-time videographer. And we produced a lot of videos for our customers showing them what our service was going to be so that
Hmm.
they could see it. It wasn't they had to read about it. They were actually able to see that process. And West Nile, here we are in Arizona, dry climate. You don't think of mosquitoes.
Hmm.
You think of mosquitoes up in Wisconsin where they're so big you can ride them. But down in Arizona, we have some really bad mosquitoes that produce things like West Nile virus. And so I produced a mini documentary because I had a friend that had contacted West Nile virus, and
Hmm.
uh, and he was very very sick. In fact, he was in a care facility for 1 year, learning how to walk, learning how to talk, learning how to feed himself again. It pretty much incapacitated him for a full year, um, and he eventually died. And which was hard for me being in the pest control industry, thinking, man, if I would have come out with my bundling services sooner, maybe I would have.
Hmm.
I felt a little bit responsible. And so for me, it became a passion. I was very driven and I wanted to produce the same thing within Smarter Launch that helped companies tell a story. And so by producing a video about West Nile virus, I was telling a story, and I wrote articles in PMP magazine and for different industry magazines, and spoke at a lot of conferences on the West Nile virus. But I got to thinking, man, this industry needs to be the whole industry needs to be telling these stories about things like hantavirus. We just had the deaths
Mm-hmm.
on cruise ships and West Nile virus, vector-borne diseases. I feel as an industry that, and I'm very passionate about this, that we are responsible for two main things. One is our customers' health. Everybody, pest control is really determined by somebody's ability to or like a customer, like a
Mm-hmm.
homeowner. One homeowner might say, "Oh, I saw one scorpion, not a big deal," and another one could say, "I saw one scorpion. I want you out here right now." Everybody has their own tolerance to pests, right? But when we're talking about people's health, most people don't know about the how deadly West Nile virus is or hantavirus or those types of things. And so as an industry, we need to be more impactful in our customers' lives by educating them more. And so that was one of the other reasons for Smarter Launch. And I need to build this because we're not telling the story as an industry. We're just selling pest control as a commodity and not as a solution to people's problems.
And many companies already use systems like operating systems like Field Roads, Fastpack, and Brioche Stack. So what gap did you feel still existed that Smarter Launch needed to address?
Well, once again, those platforms are great, and we integrate with all of them. We integrate with Field Routes,
Mm-hmm.
Pest Pack, Real Stack, Evolve, with FieldWorks, and I think the reason why they allow us to integrate with them is because they know our passion. They see our passion. They know that
Mm-hmm.
we're telling the story differently. For example, within Field Routes or Pest Pack or the other softwares, you can produce a quote, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
price. But Smarter Launch can show the findings, can tell the story about your company. We put reviews in there where you can put videos of your company in there. We brand it so that we're actually selling a solution and a proposal, not just a quote. We're not a quote software. People will say,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of software? We're a proposal software. Well, what's that different from a quote? Well, proposals, basically, you have to be able to say, here's the problem, and here's the solution, and now here's how much it costs. When you're just doing a quote, it's like, here's the price. And so
Mm-hmm.
somebody will come along sooner and probably undercut you, and you lose the business because you didn't sell a solution and they didn't understand quite the extent of the work you were going to do because you didn't tell the story. And so we tell the story, which helps be able to sell for the correct price and also helps educate your customer. An educated customer is a lifelong customer because they trust you. You explain
Mm-hmm.
things in a way that nobody else had, and they become, in a lot of cases, I still have customers reaching out when it's my birthday or when they have a birthday, I do the same thing because they become like family. I mean, if you can do that in your business and create a real atmosphere like that amongst your team and amongst your customers, your company's going to be much more successful. So,
So, one thing that stood out during our conversation the previous week was your perspective that many pest control companies think they have a marketing problem or sales problem, when in reality the issue often occurs later in the customer journey. So, what do you think? What is the biggest mistake pest control companies make between the moment a lead comes in and the moment a customer says yes?
okay. Well, aside from telling a story and aside from the proposal, it's really timing and follow up. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be timely when a customer has a problem. They're calling because they have a problem, and you have to be timely in your reaction time. And then you have to have good follow up. There, a lot of customers may call one, two, three, four companies to get the solution. And the one that not only is timely in answering your call, but then does a great job follow up, kind of the squeaky wheel gets the grease mentality, you're going to have a lot more success. And I think that that's where a lot of companies fail is having a good sales system in place that is timely and that does the follow up work for you. Smarter Launch does that.
And where do you actually see the most revenue leakage? Is it follow-up, proposal clarity, customer education, or something else entirely?
All the above. But I want to add in there, I really feel like, as I alluded to earlier in our conversation, that making sure that you're maximizing the revenue dollars from your customers, making them really sticky to you, not in a bad way, but that
Mm-hmm.
you're offering services that answer all your customers' questions about pest control. If we're truly doing the work for our customers that we should be doing, once again, I look at we need to be worried about their health and then their home, which is their biggest investment. And so I always focused on the health of the customer and then the value of their home. And when we did training with our inside CSRs and our sales team and then our techs in the field, when I was able to really make a change in 2009 when I lost my friend, and
I'm
so
sorry.
it was emotional at the time, and they knew who he was. He had been in our office, and he was a part of our mini documentary. They saw the impact it had on somebody's life when he came from walking into our office to coming in on like two crutches to be able to come in and visit me. They saw something that they could have prevented for one of their customers that they were servicing. So it became very real for them. And so I would think that, making sure that we are providing all services and bundle those services will help with any revenue, what we call revenue leakage, or what we can do to make sure that we are maximizing the dollars that we're, as a business that we want to bring in to make our companies profitable.
And you also mentioned educating the customer during the sales process. Why is that often more effective than simply presenting a price?
Well, I think
Do
one,
they really want to learn that much information, and how much information should we give to them, you know?
right. Yeah, I don't even think it's a fine line. I think it's more, um, let me give the example of pre-COVID and post-COVID. Pre-COVID, we went out, we shopped, our life was easy, we talked to people, and COVID happened, and we all, fortunately, the pest control industry was an essential industry, so we got to continue to work, right?
Mhm.
And yet, a lot of our customers that we were working with had to stay home, and they learned to work from home. And so they also learned to shop from home. And how did they shop? Amazon.
Mm,
Target, Walmart. You can go on there and Walmart or let's use Amazon. Amazon just doesn't put a picture of the product and says order. You look and you go, oh, there's all those reviews. Smarter Launch has that. Oh, there's videos about the product. Smarter Launch has that. Oh, there's these that you can pick and choose your services. Smarter Launch allows you to do that. So we took that model of how buyers' decisions changed during that time, and I won't say that necessarily that our customers became more educated. It was more of a necessity when they were forced to stay at home and really couldn't be out in public as much. They learned to shop from home. And so our system allows customers to make good buying, informed buying decisions with our software because it also has product brochures, product videos that
mhm,
educate the customer as to why this is going to work for them. It's not just here's the price. It's like here's how termites work, but here's how our product works through the termites, or the termites help us actually kill themselves because of the way that they're colonies and they interact with each other. So they spread the whatever the mode of active ingredient is in there. It actually helps us. So by educating the customer, they just become a customer that is really sticky to us and
mhm,
appreciate the fact that we're really an open book to them. We're giving them, I think that more information is better than not enough when a customer is making a buying decision, particularly about their health or their home, which is their biggest
mhm.
investment, right? So we want to make sure that we're providing more information, not enough. So
So can we say storytelling had really great value on customer retention?
sure. Yeah, I find that tremendously effective. And it's just like it's not too different from building a great team of pest control techs. You are constantly educating them, you're constantly teaching them, you are interacting with them. And so the techs then take that same thought process, help me educate my customers by always talking to them, by giving them good information, and by giving a good quality service, and then reporting what has happened. And so there's I think that a lot of companies don't do a good enough job of empowering their techs because they haven't even educated their techs as what to do. So if a company, if they were going to learn anything from this conversation you and I are having, it would be education is critical, not just to your techs, but your customers as well. And I don't know that either one is more important. They're both equally important.
So when it comes to price and value selling, and when sales system break down, many companies don't fix the process. They started competing on price instead. So why is
Mhm.
the $49 service mentality so dangerous for long-term growth?
That's probably one of the easiest questions to ask, and that is that there's always going to be somebody who's going to undercut you. If you're selling based just
Mm.
on price, I'm selling a commodity, then there's always going to be somebody that will sell that commodity for less money. And so if I do a good job or a great job of selling the solution, I might have a $69 or $79 service. And when somebody knocks on the door offering a $49 service, my customer's going to say, man, but I got educated. I know that they're servicing my home because they're protecting my property, they're protecting my health. It's not just a $49 service. So, yeah, that is one thing that a lot of new pest control owners make the
Mhm.
mistake of I need to make money. I need to be able to feed my family. And so what is everybody selling their service for? And then they try to go out and undercut the price and not really sell what pest control really is meant to be, and that is solutions to people's problems. It's not $49 doesn't solve the problem, right? it's
No,
it's
no,
it's
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 just postponing the problem, yeah.
so great. That
But
was
it's
great.
the same, I think, in every industry, price cutters. And what separates companies that consistently sell value from
Mhm.
companies that consistently feel pressure to discount?
Mhm.
I think these are the, small nuances
Right.
uh, add to their service. And how does a stronger sales process improve pricing power and profitability at the company level?
That's a big question that requires a lot of thought process, but I'll tell you.
But I found you here. You have the huge experience, both from, as a pest control owner, also a vendor. So you have the both perspectives. So
True. So, I mean, I would start with a good lead generation. There are so many companies entering the pest control market that promise all these leads, and yet if you don't have a good website, how do you convert those leads using amount of money you're spending on your website? If you don't have a sales process to track those leads, to be looking at your website to see what leads are being generated from either the website or through social media marketing, if you're not tracking that and you're not keeping your KPIs, you're just giving somebody money to paint a picture that doesn't have a canvas. I don't know how to maybe best describe that, but
no, you
you're
have to know your numbers. Yeah.
right. You do. Yeah. And so you really have to have a good sales process and a way to track that. And I know there are some good companies out there that do that, but boy, I don't ever want to talk anybody down, but there are companies out there that are just, we see a new one every week, it seems like, in this industry that promise these big promises and yet don't have any in our industry, and they're just taking money from good solid pest control companies. So do your homework, make sure that you know who you're dealing with and that they'll produce the results you're looking for and give you KPIs that show you that it's working.
And this also brings us, the experience, proposal experience, and also customer behavior shift. You just mentioned everything shifted during COVID. People started shopping more online. And so this brings us to the point where many buying decisions are actually made the proposal experience. What you
Mhm.
do with smarter launch, okay? And why are interactive guided proposal more effective than simply sending a catalog and PDF and hoping the customer reads it?
Well, I think most businesses, whether they're pest control or whoever it might be, they they want to be able to brand themselves. Here's my brand. I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants that. Very few do a great job at it. A lot of companies do a good job at it, and then a lot of companies don't do a very good job of that. So smarter launch or a good proposal system will help you follow that brand that you guys have. So for example, within smarter launch, we want to have your logo incorporated. We want to have your reviews incorporated. We actually take your colors and incorporate those into the proposals. Those are all branding things that can be done. Also, just sending a PDF, and I'm sure that there's people to listen to this that have gone out and, let's say, done a termite inspection. And three other companies were out there. You all produced a paper proposal and handed it to them. And for them, they were able to look at it and say, "Oh, this one's 795, this one's 895, this one's 995. Which one should I go with?" And there hasn't been any education done. There hasn't been any branding done about who I am. Maybe I'm a national company, maybe I'm a local company,
Mm-hmm.
but but I want to be able to once again tell that story, and it starts first with telling the story of who I am. So we have an about your company on your proposal. So it's going to say, "Here's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're locally owned. We've been in business 25 years, and we love this industry. We love the people we serve." And then there's going to be reviews, and so it's going to talk about what people are saying about your company. That's important. And then we actually have a feature within our software that allows you to take the customer through the proposal. So I can actually record myself taking them through that proposal, and I can tell them in my words what I'm going to do for them versus if Mary was at home and Bob was at work, and Bob says, "Well, how did it go?" And Mary
Mm-hmm.
says, "Well, here's the quotes." And I didn't have a chance to talk to both Bob and Mary. Now I have that chance. They can open that email up, click on the play button, and I take them through that proposal. I can add in videos from manufacturers if I was going to be proposing a product like
Mm-hmm.
Centricon or Ona,
Prices.
or a mosquito product like mosquito traps or Into Care. Those people have spent millions of dollars on marketing, but they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
marketing to pest control companies because the general public doesn't see those. And now the general public can actually see what the product does for their home to protect them from either health issues or possibly from, decreasing the value of their home. So I can tell more of a story than just a PDF. I can actually show the findings. I can graph it. I can attach pictures to the graph, and then I can take them through it in a video where they can see it in their own time in the comfort of their home with me not really high pressure selling them. I'm more just doing a quick education with them. It helps endear them to you. It's that problem that we have in this industry. It's kind of like we went from 0 to 60. So we had
Mm-hmm.
very little technology, and now we have 100 choices, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. There's so many options for me here." And so, what we don't want to do as an industry, and I'm going to really, really harp on this, and I do in any of the times I speak at conferences, and that is balance technology with the human touch. We're a service industry. We're in people's homes, we're in people's businesses. They need to know that we're human as well, and that we have that
Mm-hmm.
human element, that human touch. Technology can tell the story, but I want them to feel the story, and I can do that with the human touch. So, follow up on phone calls, my customer service team reaching out timely to schedule the service. Those are all human touches that cannot be given up to technology because technology will screw it up. It just will. It just
Yeah, and people want to do business with real people. Even though, all these technological improvements, AI, people want to see real people. That's also what I'm trying to do with my customers. Where is your, proper team pictures, family pictures, your story on About Us page, on homepage? You can invest as much as you want, but if you don't, that emotional connection to your customers or prospects doesn't work 100%.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's great,
But,
great comment. Yeah.
and yeah, we can say, all these points like inspection findings, videos, photos, reviews, and explanations instead of just pricing. I think, what kind of, I think humans are emotional, so psychologically you connect with them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I want to also a little bit talk about the integration. You mentioned it a little bit, and how does automation and follow-up work after a proposal is sent?
Okay, first off, we have integrated with the field service management softwares out there, and which allows customers to pull customers from their field service management software, whether it's Field Routes or PestPack or Gorilla Desk or RealStack, any
Hmm.
one of those. Their customers will be available within our system. We have the integration for that. So if
Hmm.
I create a customer in Smarter Launch, it will then be created in Field Routes, or it might
Automatically. Uh-huh.
automatically. Or if I create one in, let's say, Field Routes or PestPack, it will
Hmm.
then be automatically created in Smarter Launch. And so that saves time from double entry for your CSRs. It also eliminates mistakes because I'm taking it directly from there. I'm not going to make a mistake with an email address or a phone number.
Hmm.
It's going to
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
automatic. When a proposal is completed and signed by a customer, well, when they finish the proposal, it's going to automatically upload into that customer file or into their documents. So that's available for the CSRs to create the subscription and schedule the service. They don't have to manually upload it, it's automatically done. Then there
Hmm.
are automations for follow up. A lot of good lead programs, Go High Level, HubSpot,
Hmm.
there's a lot of good ones out there. There really are. And
Hmm.
even some of the field service management softwares now have lead management within them. Um, and they do a really good job of lead generating and
Hmm.
sending out drip
No,
campaigns.
also nurturing systems,
Mhm.
when
Sure.
there is lead. Hmm.
But what are they doing for closing business? And that's where we really shine because you can create automations. For example, I can create an automation that tells me if Bob and Mary, once they're at home and I'm already home maybe from work, I'm going to get an alert on my phone that's going to say, hey, Bob and Mary are looking at your proposal right now. And so I can set that
Mm.
automation so that I know they got it and I know they're viewing it. If I could set an alert that says if they don't open that email within, let's say, 24 or 48 hours, maybe I need to reach out to them because maybe it went to their junk file. Maybe I had the wrong email address or whatever. So I can then reach out to make sure that they received the proposal because I haven't seen them open it yet. You can set an automation up that
Is
would
there a
be,
dashboard that where you can follow up who opens them,
oh,
who has
yeah.
not? That's
Uh-huh.
good.
Yeah, you can
Mhm.
see that. And then you also have automations that you could set up that will do the work of like your CSR team. So let's say that Bob and Mary sign the proposal that night. 30 minutes after they sign, you could set an automation up that says, I want to send a thank you email. Thank you, Bob, Mary, for joining our family. We look forward to servicing you. Somebody will reach out to you within 24 hours to schedule your service. If you ever have a billing or scheduling issue, please call this number. If you have a service issue, call this number. Like white glove onboarding experiences that you can give your customers. And those are all things that are done automatically. You don't have to ask it to do it. So, yeah, it's more on the sales side, not on the lead generating side. It's on the follow up. It's on the that white glove service you want to give your customers. We have like wildlife companies that use our software that
Hmm.
maybe have stages. They do a little bit of work and then they button stuff up and then they have to do a little bit more work and button stuff up. And we have a company down in Florida that has like 27 automations and it's just follow up that keeps the customer informed of what's going on that would have required a person to
Hmm.
do, but it automatically happens so that your team can be focused on other things because you know that automation is just happening and working good for you. So, yeah, you can set up automations internally with your sales team, and there's a lot of ways to use automations, but that's
And you
super
can
powerful.
customize it to your company
Yep.
culture or, pipelines or,
Yep.
all these operational systems. That's
Hmm.
amazing.
It is
And
awesome.
are there any metrics or outcomes that typically surprise companies once they start using the platform?
Well, I'll just say this: the industry average for closing a pest control deal is just a little over 30%. Our customers are double that. We're a little over 60%. Their close rate
Hmm.
are increased. It's because of a few things. One is you're telling a story, you're branding your company,
Hmm.
you're providing more information. and the proposals are beautiful and they're customized. I can even put a picture of the property that I'm proposing at the top of the proposal to really, once again, get that human element, human touch. And then we even have everything down to financing within our software. So if you're doing big jobs over $500, we have integrations with WiseTech financing, and they will finance jobs from $500 to $50,000 for companies that are doing large jobs like fumigations or microencapsulation of crawl spaces or termite jobs or bed bug jobs, where typically, as a business owner in the past, I've financed my customers, which came back to bite me.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of times it bit me because maybe it was a family that just didn't have a lot of money. It was a bed bug job. I fixed the problem, and after 2 or 3 months of paying a few $100s a month, they just quit paying. And I was a good guy. I never went after anybody, but that wasn't a smart thing for my business. And I would recommend you.
It's also frustrating, right?
Mhm,
Yeah, it
sure.
also affects your mood as a, company owner.
Right, right. So,
Keep going, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. And you mentioned that how long does it take to create a proposal? Like 1 minute?
Yeah, great question. I can do a general pest proposal literally in seconds. I say a minute just
Uh-huh.
because people can't comprehend seconds. But
Uh-huh.
we have an integration with Melissa Listings, 330
Mm-hmm.
million homes in America, has a square footage, lot size, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, everything you would need to be able to produce
Oh,
a
you showed
proposal.
me that, right?
And so all I have to do is put the address in, and it instantly gives a
Mm-hmm.
quote for all of your services. So I just pick the services I want to provide, and then it will load those into the proposal. So I can do that in seconds. Our graphing tool, well, this is an exciting thing that people don't know that what Smarter Launch can do. Smarter Launch, we have a fabulous graphing tool, best in the industry. It's fabulous, and yet there was just one thing lacking, and that was I had customers that would say, "Man, it'd be great if the house was already pre-drawn." And I said, "Well, that's impossible. I, I mean, you got to be able to do something, right?" Well, our team is so talented that they actually went back to Melissa Listings, grabbed those. We get our square footage and lot size from Melissa Listings. They get it from county recorders offices, and those counties have inspectors that go out and inspect properties for tax valuation, right? So they have already measured the house, drawn the house. So we're able to pull those drawings in. And so I can just click on a button and the house is drawn instantly. Now, not all houses are in there, but I've noticed about 95% are in there. So maybe I have to draw 5% of the houses using our graphing tool, which is still easy to
Mm.
do. But man, I can do a quote for a termite job in literally a couple minutes because I can pull in the drawing already finished with measurements on it and a picture of the house just by clicking a button. And so it just helps really eliminate time for your inspectors. We have a lot of home inspection companies using us and
Uh-huh.
great deal of termite companies that are heavy termite using us. We have one company here in Arizona that has 160 inspectors in the field, and they just swear by our software because it saves them so much time in doing.
Yeah, that comes to my mind. Another question. What kind of company can use your software? If I'm a one-man show with one track, or like I'm a multi-million dollar company, what is the range?
Boy, we have all sizes of companies that have
Mm-hmm.
hundreds and hundreds of inspectors using the software, down to one man operations that they're single operators or they maybe have one or two techs and they're really small. The key though for me is, can I generate leads? If I could have the best proposal software in the world, but if I don't have anybody to propose a business to, I'm just paying for proposal software I'm not using. So you need to be able to have a way to generate leads, whether it's knocking doors or it's putting on door hangers or using your website and social media to draw in leads. That's the first and foremost focus that companies need to really focus on, is to generate the leads so that our software can help them close more business.
And what else? So I didn't know that Smarter Launch had, too many features, that much features. What else should we know about it? Any
Yeah.
other? Yeah.
It's hard to even cover in an hour's time.
Because
There
when
are
I first heard about it, I thought, oh, it's a proposal software. But now, okay, it does everything, like.
It really does. It is a very powerful tool. It's robust and yet it's super easy to use. There are a lot of softwares out there that the learning curve is awful. Ours is not, because
Uh-huh.
once again, I put in the address and it does the dynamic pricing for me. yeah, I may have to add a photo of some findings in there, or I need to push a button so that it draws the graph for me. But other than that, the software is very, very, very easy to use. And part of our onboarding, and because I know that one of the questions you may or may not ask me is going to be what's the future? What are you most proud of? But I'm going to
Yes.
tell you, what I am most proud of, honestly, Faye, is my team, is the partners that I have in this business. I truly love my partners because they love this industry like I love this industry.
Some
I
of them are
so
sending greetings to you. I
yeah.
told them I'm gonna have a podcast with Eric. Some of them send you greetings, but I will tell you later.
I was very fortunate to find the partners that I found. They were also pest control business owners. We all
Mhm.
sold our companies to fund this project. That's how much we believe in this. This is not just a passing hobby. We are affecting the industry. Nearly $50 million in new business was written in the last 30 days using our software in new business. And so it is affecting this industry tremendously. And companies that are using us are seeing great success. And my team, I think, is a big part of that. We hired away the COO of the largest termite company here in Arizona, Action Termite. Um, and he's the one that had 160 inspectors in the field. And he had trained them all and then said, I want to come to work for you guys. And so and then yeah, we brought people from the industry, and they love this industry like I do. And so when you were working with our team, we're just like an extension of you guys. We're not a software company
Mhm.
as much as we are an extension of people that have been in the trenches just like our business owners have. We've been there, we've done it, we have built this, and we continue to build and improve on it based on what our customers ask of us. We have customers that bring up things that we never thought of as a business owner, and it's great ideas, and we act on it. We can pivot quickly because we're self-funded, right? We don't have to go to anybody to say, can we do this? No, we are the source of the funding,
Mhm.
and so we're able to pivot very quickly and
No,
produce
no
results.
angel investor,
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
no,
You did it by all yourself.
it's us. Yeah.
And looking ahead, the industry, continues to evolve quickly. So how do you see the sales process changing in pest control over the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, boy, things are changing so rapidly with AI and different things. And I guess I would caution people not to get caught up too much in what AI can do, but figure out
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do as a company, then go find what AI can do for you. Don't just have somebody come in with AI and say, we can do all these things. No, really focus on what we are, a very hands on industry. I mean, we are dealing with people's
Mm-hmm.
homes and their health, but find tools that really help you grow your business, like, in my opinion, Smarter Launch. And then make sure you're empowering your team and getting them the tools that they need to be successful. I'll share one last story with you, and it's an emotional story similar to my friend that passed away. One of my good friends here, Bill's Termite and Pest in Phoenix, told me of a story of one of his salespeople that's in the field, and his daughter was very, very sick in the hospital. And his salesperson was struggling in sales, not terribly, but struggling. And Bill was smart, got our software, got him on board. And this salesperson, his wife was going to have to quit her job to because their daughter was in the hospital all the time, and she would go, go in the hospital and sit with
Care of
her.
the daughter.
And
Hmm.
so she was going to have to give up her job, which means they were going to have to sell their home and move in with parents. And Bill got emotional, got tears in his eyes. We both cried for a minute because he said when he started using Smarter Launch, he started making enough money so that his wife did not have to go back to work and they did not have to give up their home. And Bill said, that alone is the biggest success story that I could have gotten from Smarter Launch. If you want to keep employees and you want to build your teams where they are solid teams, give them the tools that they need, whether it's Smarter Launch or the right backpack sprayer or the right type of truck. Give them the tools they need to be successful, and they will stay with you because they know that you're looking out for them. And if you give them tools that make them more money, They're going to stay with you a lot longer because why would they leave your company and go to work for a company that didn't have those tools? They're going to stay with you longer. So that was a big impact story for me, and it's one of my favorite stories that we've ever had from Smarter Launch. We affect businesses and how they grow, but to watch
Hmm.
an employee not have to give up his home and be able to take care of a child, there's not a better success story that I can share with you about Smarter Launch than that one. So,
That's a great story.
yeah.
I think it's karma, you invest on story
Mhm.
building, and this is what you get, good stories.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And and if a pest control owner is listening today and feels like leads are slipping through the cracks, what is the first thing they should evaluate in their business?
Well, first thing is make sure that you're generating leads. If you're not generating leads, you got to figure that one out. But if you're getting leads, make sure you have a good lead management program and that you are not letting people slip through the cracks. And timely communications with potential customers. If they call in on your website, make sure that that phone is answered somehow, whether it's using virtual assistant or an answering service or whatever. Make sure that phone gets answered because when people call, it's typically, especially if it's after hours. If it's after hours, they're frantic typically. I've got ants in my kitchen and they're all over the place and I don't know what to do. What can, you want to be able to answer that phone. And then secondly, you need to make sure that you're nurturing those leads. Make sure that you're following up. You do not want to be known as the company that, yeah, you'll answer the phone when it's business hours and maybe that's the way you want to run your business. I don't want to say it's wrong. I'm just saying if you want to grow your business, you need to make sure that those leads are nurtured and then make sure that
Hmm.
you educate customers. Have a tool that can tell a story and not just sell a commodity because we have to, as an industry, get away from selling pest control service as a commodity. It's not a commodity. It's a service and it's reflective of our whole industry. And I want everybody to take that to heart that we as an industry collectively need to protect this industry. And we do that by offering good education, good solutions, and we do jobs properly. So, yeah, I guess that would be my one thing I would say at the end and to close things up. So,
And lastly, what is next for Smarter Launch? I know you will keep creating amazing stories, but what are you most excited about
mm,
building or improving?
there's a couple things, but I can't mention them yet because they're not ready
Okay.
for, and we don't want anybody to get too far ahead of where we are. Let's just say that we are going to be helping bridge the gap with lead generation and lead follow up into our software more and more. We are integrated with Go High Level, with the sales lead program within PestPack, but we're going to kind of try to bridge that gap for medium to smaller companies that don't have a good leads program. So that'll be one of the things we'll be doing. So,
So
okay.
before we wrap up, I want to shift away from the software itself because you have been on both sides of the table, running the pest control companies and now, building technology for the industry. And when you look at everything, and I know you're most proud of your team and your customers, but if a pest control owner listening today and wants to unlock the next stage of growth, where should they focus first?
There isn't a magic pill. There's not a magic way to do things. It is roll the sleeves up. It's hard work. It is investing primarily in your people because they are not only a reflection of your company, but they are your best source of generating additional business within your organization. If they are out there working and they see an issue or a problem, they should not walk away without talking to the customer about the solution and then making sure that there is a system in place that follows up with them and gets them a proposal that solves that solution. And we actually have the ability for techs to be able to sell on the spot using the proposal software that takes seconds just by putting in the address. They can use a tap card. It's like a credit card. They can tap somebody's phone and say, "You're having mosquito problems. Let me tap your phone, and it's going to give you the solution and the pricing to get that fixed. And they could just tap the phone, and it's instant, and it's going to grab that person's square footage and lot size and price the mosquito service or whatever service, flea and tick or whatever that problem might be. And on people's websites, instead of just having a button that says if you're having a problem, click this and we will get back with you with a quote. And you click on it, and or it says for a quote, click on this button, and they'll click on it, but they won't get a quote. They're just going to fill a form out, and then somebody will get back to them the next day. And so I go to the next website, I get the same thing. Next website, get the same thing. If you're using our system, we will put a button on there that when they click on it, they will get that instant beautiful quote. And if it's for mosquitoes, then it's going to have the mosquito video in it. It's going to have an about your company. It's going to have reviews, and it's going to have all the information, just as if I did the proposal. The customer actually generated their own proposal. Hence, we call it customer generated proposals. Customers can generate their own proposals just by putting in their address and their name. And so those are great tools that have just come out in the last 6 months that are really changing companies that are using our software. They're seeing huge paydays from putting that button on their website. So if anybody's interested, yeah, just reach out. Love to do a demo for anybody on the software, but I also just love getting to meet people and talk about this industry. Just about every one of our customers has my cell phone number, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, gets into the thousands.
How do you do that, if they all
I
have your phone number?
Yeah, typically when they get it to a trade show, I'm tapping people's phones with my card and it gives all my information. And so I'll get texts night and day and Sunday nights and Saturdays. My kids are grown. I've got 16 grandkids. This is my
16?
16. This is my
Uh-huh.
baby. This is my baby, Faye. And I truly love this industry. I have no reservations about expressing my love for the industry and what I am seeing in this industry, how we are improving as an industry, how we're growing as an industry. And I have made some of the best friends, lifelong friends from this industry. And I will continue giving back to this industry because I love it so much.
Thank you so much. I don't know how to close this episode. I don't want to close it because it's so, how do I say, emotional. And
It
I
is.
remember 2 weeks ago, you told me, I asked you, why would you like to do this episode? And you told me, because you did lots of episodes with great people. I thought you would be a nice and good person. So thank you for that, by the way. And thank you being our guest. And thank you for sharing a lot of great stories and being so authentic and genuine.
Thank
It was
you.
great you know, great hosting you.
And Faye, thank you for what you do for the industry. That I love when people feel the same way I do, and I can see that in your voice and in your actions that you love this industry too. And thank you so much for being
Uh,
a part of
I love this industry. That is for sure.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.